a WikiVidi documentaries production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy. A Star is Born, 2018 film. A Star is Born is a 2018 American musical romantic drama film produced and directed by Bradley Cooper and written by Cooper, Eric Roth, and Will Fetters. A remake of the 1937 film of the same name, it stars Cooper, Lady Gaga, Andrew Dice Clay, Dave Chappelle, and Sam Elliott, and follows a hard-drinking musician who discovers and falls in love with a young singer. It marks the third American remake of the original 1937 film. After the 1954 musical and the 1976 rock musical, talks of a third A Star is Born remake began in 2011 with Clint Eastwood attached to direct and Beyoncé set to star. The film languished in development hell for several years with various actors approached to co-star, including Christian Bale, Leonardo DiCaprio, Will Smith, and Tom Cruise. In March 2016, Cooper signed on to star and direct, and Lady Gaga joined the cast in August 2016. Principal photography began at the Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival in April 2017. A Star is Born premiered at the 75th Venice International Film Festival on August 31, 2018, and was theatrically released in the United States on October 5, 2018. By Warner Brothers, the film has grossed $63 million worldwide and receives critical acclaim, with praise for Cooper and Gaga's performances, Cooper's direction, the cinematography, and the music. Plot: Jackson Maine performs at sold-out concerts while exhibiting a drinking problem which he hides from the public. His main support and manager is his significantly older brother Bobby, who looks after him. Ally is a young singer-songwriter in her own right who works as a waitress with her friend Ramon, while also moonlighting as a singer at a drag bar. After a show, Jackson arrives at the bar so that he can drink and witnesses Ally's singing firsthand. Amazed by her talent, they have a drink together and Ally reveals that she has never pursued a professional career due to being told that she has a big nose, something Jackson admits that he finds attractive, and they share songs together. He drops her off at her home where she lives with her widower father Lorenzo, who runs a driving service with his friends. Jackson asks Ally to come to his show tonight, but she refuses even when Lorenzo insists that she go. She eventually changes her mind and takes Ramon with her, where Jackson asks Ally to sing on stage with him. After some hesitation, she relents and is praised on social media. Jackson has Ally perform at several concerts with him and they slowly begin to form a relationship. After Jackson passes out drunk, Bobby tells Ally that she needs to be careful around him. Jackson takes Ally to see a farm that he bought for Bobby and where their father is buried, but discovers that Bobby sold the land and that their father's body was washed away in a storm. Angered at his betrayal, Jackson punches Bobby, who quits being his manager soon afterwards. After one show, Ally meets Rez, a record producer who offers her a contract. While visibly bothered by it, Jackson supports her decision anyway. Jackson helps Ally get through the trials of her new position, and she buys a house for the two to stay in. While performing at one of her concerts, Rez berates her for cancelling her dances and suggests that she dye her hair blonde, a suggestion she dislikes. Jackson, who was supposed to see her perform, passes out drunk in the middle of town and is helped up by his childhood friend Noodles, who allows him to temporarily stay at his home. Ally arrives and the two make up. Afterwards, Jackson proposes to Ally with a small guitar string loop, and they get married immediately that day. While Ally is performing on Saturday Night Live, Bobby arrives and reconciles with Jackson. Later, Jackson voices his disapproval of Ally's new provocative song, which she was nominated for. When he calls her ugly, they have a falling out, though they soon try to put the issue behind them. Jackson performs at the Grammy Awards for a Roy Orbison tribute, and it becomes apparent that he is intoxicated. Ally wins a Grammy for Best New Artist, and when she goes up on stage to receive her reward, Jackson is brought on stage as well, but he passes out, humiliating himself. Lorenzo takes Jackson backstage and berates him and puts him in the shower to sober up. Jackson then joins a rehabilitation program. Ally visits Jackson in rehab, and he tearfully apologizes for his behavior and returns home sober. Rez visits and privately tells Jackson that he will eventually ruin Ally's life due to his history. Even if Ally remains the more stable one. She explains to Jackson that she is going to cancel her concert tour early so that they can have the summer all to themselves. As she leaves, Jackson states that he will come to her last concert. However, he doesn't. After Ally leaves, Jackson begins taking pills and then hangs himself. Ally becomes almost inconsolable despite Lorenzo and Raymond's attempts to help her. Eventually, Bobby explains that Jackson's death was his own fault and not hers. Ally takes a song that Jackson had written, but never performed, and decides to sing it at his funeral, where she identifies herself as Ally Main. Cast. Additionally, Rebecca Field appears as Gail, Shangela Lakeith Wadley as the drag bar MC, Willem Belly as drag queen Emerald, Greg Grunberg as Jackson's driver Phil, and Ron Rifkin as Carl. Lucas Nelson and Promise of the Real appear as Jackson's band, and Lunel appears as a cashier. Marlon Williams, Brandi Carlile, Halsey, Alec Baldwin, and Don Roy King cameo as themselves. Development. In January 2011, it was announced that Clint Eastwood was in talks to direct Beyoncé in a third remake of the 1937 film A Star is Born. However, the project was delayed due to Beyoncé's pregnancy. In April 2012, writer Will Fetters told Collider that the script was inspired by Kurt Cobain. Talks with Christian Bale, Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Cruise, Johnny Depp, and Will Smith to play the male lead failed to come to fruition. On October 9, 2012, Beyoncé left the project, and it was reported that Bradley Cooper was in talks to star. Eastwood was interested in Esperanza Spalding to play the female lead. On March 24, 2015, Warner Bros. Announced that Cooper was in final talks to make his directorial debut with the film, and potentially to star with Beyoncé, who was again in talks to join. Cooper did become the male lead. On August 16, 2016, it was reported that Lady Gaga had officially become attached and the studio had greenlit the project to begin production early 2017. On November 9, 2016, it was reported that Ray Liotta was in talks to join the film in the role of the manager to Lady Gaga's character, though he ultimately was not involved. On March 17, 2017, Sam Elliott joined the film, with Andrew Dice Clay entering negotiations to play Lorenzo, the father of Lady Gaga's character. Clay was selected over Robert De Niro, John Turturro, and John Travolta. In April 2017, Rafi Gavron, Michael Harney, and Rebecca Field also joined the cast. Filming began on April 17, 2017. In May, Dave Chappelle was cast in the film. In April 2018, it was announced that Halsey would have a small role. Music. After seeing him perform at Desert Trip Festival, Cooper approached Lucas Nelson and asked him to help work on the film. Nelson agreed and wrote several songs, which he sent to the producers. Nelson subsequently met Lady Gaga and began writing songs with her, and she, in turn, provided backing vocals on 2 tracks on his self-titled 2017 album. The soundtrack, performed by Gaga and Cooper, was released on October 5, 2018, by Interscope Records. The studio announced that the album features 19 songs in a wide range of musical styles plus 15 dialogue tracks that will take you on a journey that mirrors the experience of seeing the film. Release. A Star is Born had its world premiere at the Venice Film Festival on August 31, 2018. It also screened at the Toronto International Film Festival, the San Sebastian International Film Festival, and the Zurich Film Festival in September 2018. The film was theatrically released in the United States on October 5, 2018, distributed by Warner Bros. Pictures, after initially having been set for September 28, 2018, and May 18, 2018, releases. Box office. A Star is Born has grossed $49.7 million in the United States and Canada, and $14.2 million in other territories, for a total worldwide gross of $63.9 million, against a production budget of $36 million. In the United States and Canada, A Star is Born grossed $1.35 million from select Tuesday and Wednesday night screenings, and $15.8 million on its first day, including $3.2 million from Thursday night previews. It went on to debut to $42.9 million for the weekend, besting its $30 million projections and finishing second at the box office, behind fellow newcomer Venom, outside North America. The film was release day and date with the US and 31 other countries, and made $14.2 million in its opening weekend. Its largest markets were the United Kingdom, France, and Germany. Critical response. On review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes, A Star is Born holds an approval rating of 91% based on 291 reviews, with an average rating of 8.1. The website's critical consensus reads, with appealing leads, deft direction, and an affecting love story, A Star is Born is a remake done right, and a reminder that some stories can be just as effective in the retelling. On Metacritic, the film has a weighted average score of 88 out of 100. Based on 60 critics, indicating universal acclaim. Audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of A, on an A+ to F scale, while Post-Track reported filmgoers gave it a 90% positive score. Alonso Duralde of The Wrap gave the film a positive review, saying, "Cooper and Lady Gaga are dynamite together. This is a story that lives and dies by the central relationship and the instant chemistry that must blossom between them, and these two have it in spades," and praised the musical numbers, describing them as electrifying. Owen Gleberman of Variety lauded Cooper's directing, co-writing, and acting, and called the film a transcendent Hollywood movie. Leah Greenblatt of Entertainment Weekly gave the film a B+, singling out Gaga's performance, saying, "She deserves praise for her restrained, human-scale performance as a singer whose real girl vulnerability feels miles away from the glittery meat-dressed delirium of her own stage persona." Stephanie Zacharek of Time magazine found the film superior to its previous iterations and similarly praised Cooper's direction, the writing, as well the performances and chemistry of Cooper and Gaga. She stated, "You come away feeling something for these people, flawed individuals who are trying to hold their cracked pieces of self together or to mend the cracks of those they love." Also describing Gaga's performance as a knockout. In his review for Los Angeles Times, Justin Chang called the film remarkable and praised Cooper for his fresh take on the well-worn formula of 1937 film. As well his direction, the performances, writing, and the cinematography. Peter Travers of Rolling Stone gave the film 4.5 out of 5 stars, and deemed it as a modern classic, hailing the performances of Cooper and Gaga, and Cooper's direction. He found the film's screenplay and the original songs seamless and terrific, and also called the film a major Oscar contender of the year and one of the year's best films. The Washington Post's Ann Hornaday described the film as lavishly delightful and earthly convincing, and added that it offers a suitably jaundiced glimpse of star-making machinery at its most cynical, but also its most thrilling and gratifying. She similarly praised Cooper's direction, the performances and chemistry of Cooper and Gaga, and the supporting performances, particularly Andrew Dice Clay and Sam Elliott. Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Would you like to know more?